Welcome to our multiple subject information session for the Watson College of Education here at Cal State San Bernardino. Today, this information session will cover your program track options and we'll also go into detail about our admission requirements. So if you're interested in teaching elementary, you're in the right session. So why choose Cal State San Bernardino or the Watson College of Education? First of all, we are state accredited by the Commission on Teacher Credentialing. And one important thing to note is the credential itself will be issued to you by CTC and not by CSUSB. So as a university, it's a program to train you and prepare you to become a teacher, but there's a recommendation process that you'll go through at the very end of the credentialing process to recommend you to CTC, who will then finally issue that credential. So here at the Watson College of Education, we serve the Inland Empire, which is in the Riverside and the San Bernardino County areas. So you can pick any of our school districts within the two counties that we have contracts with. We also have the English learner authorization embedded in our credential program. So you're not expected to take any additional courses or exams. Upon completing the credential, you'll also have your EL authorization. We have state-of-the-art building and facilities, of course, on both campuses here in San Bernardino, as well as our Palm Desert campus, and affordable tuition when you compare us to some of the private schools in the area. We also train highly qualified teachers, so many of our school districts in the area are eager to meet our students. And every year we have our teacher job fair, so we encourage you to attend those events when they become available. The multiple subject credential program. So a credential in multiple subject is designed for candidates who are interested in teaching elementary and sometimes middle schools, depending on the school district. So a multiple subject teacher, of course, will teach multiple subjects to the same group of students. When you finish our credential program, you'll earn what we call a 5-year preliminary credential. And you'll have to clear that credential through your employer, through the school district, and be employed at least for 2 years within the first 5 years of the credential to hold what we call a professional clear credential. Everyone in the state of California to teach permanently in elementary will need to have a multiple subject credential. So our program options here at Cal State San Bernardino, first of all, our program is a hybrid. So it's offered both in person and online on both San Bernardino campus and our Palm Desert campus if you live out in the low desert area. We offer part-time and full-time track options, and we also offer student teaching and an internship track. And we'll explain that information in a little bit. So our teaching credential pathways. The first path or option is a student teaching. So this is the most common way to earn a credential. This is a time in the program where you gain your clinical practice hours under the guidance of a mentor teacher in the very last semester of the credential program. You're assigned to work also with the university supervisor who will come out a few times throughout the semester to support you during that time. Now, during student teaching, you cannot hold a daytime job and you don't get paid to student teach. However, we do encourage you to submit a financial aid application and really check and see what financial resources might be available to you since student teaching is clinical practice that it's not paid. But the most important thing to note with student teaching is that it does prepare you, it gives you the experience in the classroom without actually being responsible for the classroom or for the students. You're under the supervision of a mentor teacher, and you also have your university supervisor, of course, for that support. So we hope that once you complete the program, that you can secure a contract. So really have this opportunity to connect with administrators and teachers to secure that employment once you complete your credential program. On the other hand, you also have the option to complete the program as an intern. So an intern has to secure a contract with the school district. So you become the teacher of record while you're completing your credential program. So again, internships require that you secure that contract. You also have a university supervisor that is assigned to support you throughout that time. And one huge difference to note is that an internship is a paid position. You do receive benefits and it is counting towards retirement. The other difference, it's a 2 semester rather than a 1 semester student teaching. An intern has to complete an additional semester of internship. You can also, however, apply for financial aid and see what financial resources might be available to you as well. So before you can become an intern, however, there are steps that you have to complete before you can receive what we call a letter of intern eligibility. So everyone starts as a student teacher, and it's not until you secure the contract and complete at least the first semester of the credential program to transition into the internship track. So how do you become intern eligible? Number one, we have to verify that you've met the US Constitution. So if you're a CSU grad from any of the 23 campuses, you have met the US Constitution because it's required by all of our CSU grads. However, if you graduated from a UC or from a private school, then you can just take an exam, or if you've met the course equivalency, we can also check on that. So you can have your courses reviewed, and if our credential processing office finds that you have an equivalent course, then you have met the US Constitution. If not, you can take an exam through our College of Extended Learning or through Open University to confirm that this has been met. One thing to note that this is not an admission requirement. This is a requirement when you apply for an internship or you want that letter of intern eligibility. You also need to complete these 5 pre-service courses, and these courses can be completed within the first semester of the credential program. Along with these courses, you're also completing 120 hours of early field work. So once you completed these steps, then you can submit an application for the intern letter, and that letter will officially state that you're eligible to accept a contract as an intern. We also offer a bilingual added authorization. So if you're bilingual and biliterate in Spanish, we strongly encourage you to consider adding this authorization. You also can take advantage of the XML grant that can pay full tuition. So if you're interested, I would encourage you to scan the QR code and also reach out to Dr. Jordi Solsona Puig. You can reach him at his email or phone. So this authorization will allow you to teach bilingual classrooms, dual immersion programs. And so it really does offer just another opportunity. During the credential program, you may or may not need to take an additional courses, but we have to have an examination completed to make sure that you meet language competency in Spanish and Latino culture. So let's talk about our program track options. We're going to go through some of the options, but before we do that, I just want to go through our co-requisites. Now, as co-requisites, these courses do not have to be completed to be admitted to the credential program. However, these courses do have to be completed before you start student teaching or before you accept an internship. So as co-requisites, they can be done before or they can be completed concurrently with the credential program. So there are 4 co-requisites. You have English 3110, which is an intro to linguistics. You also have EDMS 3010 or CD 2240, which is a child development course. Concepts in Health or the Health Science 1000 or Kinesiology 3520. And ESPE 3350 or CD 3350. So these courses must be completed with a C or better, and again, must be completed before student teaching or internship. Now, we'll provide you with the list of options where you can take these courses. 2 of these courses, which are the lower division Health Science 1000 and CD 2240, can be completed at a community college, but the 3000 level courses must be completed at a 4-year university. So here's our track A option. So the program is a 33 semester unit program. As you know, semester one, you'll complete 18 units along with 96 hours of early field work. In the second semester, you're completing 13 units. I'm sorry, 12 units total in that second semester. And as you'll note, some of these courses also have hours tied to them. In the second semester, you have highlighted in yellow your student teaching and as well as your teacher performance assessment. So as soon as you complete the second semester, you completed the credential program. And you'll note that there are different classes for our bilingual candidates. Again, for more information on that, you can contact the coordinator, Dr. Jordi Solsona Puig, for more information and a program plan specifically for our bilingual candidates. When we look at our course sequence track B, again, same number of units, but now we're spreading your units out in 3 semesters. So 12 units in the first and second semester, and then 9 units in the third semester. Now, your hours of early fieldwork are now split between the 2 semesters, depending on which courses you're completing. More information on both tracks and even our internship track will be presented to you during the new student orientation once you've been admitted. We also offer a master's program. So if you're interested in continuing on with an MA in education, which we strongly encourage you to consider, since we'll be transferring 18 units from your credential into the MA, and you only have 12 units to complete and earn a master's in education. These 12 units can be completed in 2 semesters, and the program is hybrid, which is very similar to the credential courses. These classes are offered in the evening, just as the credential, and typically classes are after 4 p.m., offered on both campuses, and so they do provide you with the flexibility as well. The other option is also the MA in STEM education. So if you're leaning towards the STEM, science, technology, engineering, or math, the MA in STEM education will transfer 12 units from your credential into the MA. So you're left with 18 units to complete, which can also be completed in 2 semesters. You can check out the other master's program options by scanning this QR code, and some of the other programs may also transfer some of your credential units to their master's program. So now let's talk about admissions to the program. So we use a system called Cal State Apply. This is a system used by all 23 of the Cal States. So you do have to identify San Bernardino as a campus of interest. If you scan this QR code, it will take you to Cal State Apply. Now, once you start the application, you have to create an account, and there's this extended profile and a series of questions on this page. It's important to note that you want to indicate on the second circle here under the degree goal, second bachelor's degree and beyond, which includes a teaching credential. And then this third box here, which includes a teaching and service credential only, as you see the multiple subject. So when you select the right options here, you should see multiple subject or the multiple subject with the bilingual added authorization. If you don't see those 2 options listed, then you want to make sure that you click on your name on the upper right-hand corner, click on the extended profile, and it should bring you back to this page to make those corrections. Now, if you're interested in the master's program cannot be done at the same time in that first semester. So you would only apply for the credential. And once you're ready to start the master's degree courses, you would submit a separate application for the master's program. Now on Cal State Apply, you'll see these 4 boxes, or what we refer to as quadrants. So in the first quadrant, you have personal information that you'll enter, pretty general information. So you just want to make sure that you answer the questions honestly, of course, as completely as possible. So as soon as you complete this quadrant, you're finished and you go on to the next quadrant, which is the academic history. Now, under the academic history, you want to list all the schools that you've attended after high school, community colleges, and universities. And the question on standardized tests, there are no tests unless you completed your degree outside the country, then you'll need to provide the TOEFL or an exam or an equivalent of that exam. The GPA question, you don't have to add a GPA if you don't want to. So as you see here, you can just click on I don't have a GPA to add. The calculation of the GPA is going to be made anyways by our graduate admissions office, so you don't have to worry about that. Now, under support information, you are welcome here to enter the experience that you would like to share. But if you don't feel like there's experience that you're interested in sharing, you could also just click on I'm not adding any experiences. Now, under the program materials, we're going to go through this into detail, but under this quadrant, there's a list of admission requirements that will be provided at the very end that you can go based on. So it's a checklist of admission requirements. So it's really important that you provide all your admission documents to the application to be able to submit a complete application. So let's review the program admission requirements for our multiple subject credential. So number one, you need an approval form if you're considering the bilingual added authorization. So contacting the program coordinator is going to be key, and making sure that you go through an assessment and go through his admissions process is going to be important. So reach out to him as soon as possible. But if you're not interested in the bilingual authorization, you can skip this requirement. We will need to have unofficial transcripts uploaded onto Cal State Apply. An official should be sent to grad admissions at CSUSB. Now, if you're a graduate from Cal State San Bernardino, you do not need to provide official transcripts. Only if you graduated from Cal State San Bernardino and continue to take classes somewhere else, and that's the only time that you'll need to provide us with official transcripts. Now, if you need to provide official transcripts, you should provide them from all the community colleges and universities that you attended, and it should be sent electronically. At least that's the fastest way to go. If you prefer to have them mailed, just make sure that you follow up to make sure that we've received them by mail. We also need 2 recommendation forms. Now, these forms should be filled out by professors, employers, or supervisors. And we use a system, the recommendation tab on Cal State Apply. So you'll enter the recommender's information here. As soon as you save that information, the recommender will receive a request by email. So make sure you let the recommender know. It could be sent to their spam or junk mail folder. So you want to give them a heads up so they're filling out this recommendation form as soon as possible. Make sure that you're asking someone who knows you well enough to answer questions on your behalf. It should, of course, not be related to you, but they should know you either academically and or professionally. Letters of recommendations will not be accepted. We prefer that these recommendation forms be used. So you'll need 2 completed online recommendations. So again, approval form only for the bilingual candidate. Transcripts, again, only official transcripts if you're not a graduate from CSUSB. And 2 recommendation forms need to be completed. We also need to have proof of 45 hours in the K-12 classroom. So this can be a letter or form that will provide you to confirm that you've either observed, volunteer, or have worked in the classroom. And this can be a K-12 classroom. Now, if you're a CSUSB student or a liberal studies student from Cal State San Bernardino or anywhere else, and you completed courses that required hours of observations in a K-12 classroom, you can use those hours to complete or to meet this requirement. You also need to provide a valid certificate of clearance. Now, if you don't have a clearance, but you have a sub permit or you have any other permit issued to you by the Commission on Teacher Credentialing, we will accept that as your clearance. Attached, you'll see at the end of the presentation, instructions on how to go about the certificate of clearance. One thing to know is that we do not accept live scans as clearance. You also need to provide a negative TB, so verification of these test results that have been completed within the last 4 years. Risk assessment questionnaires will not be accepted, so it's important that you either get a skin, chest x-ray, or blood work. You can go through our health center, usually starts at $10 if you're a student at Cal State. If not, you can go through your own doctor. You also need to provide a personal statement. It's a one-page statement. And also we need to confirm that you have an accumulative GPA of a 2.5 or 2.5 in your last 90 quarter or 60 semester units. Now let's talk about your basic skills requirement. So this requirement has changed slightly as of July of last year. So law has changed where we are now allowed to use a bachelor's degree or higher if it comes from an accredited university to meet the basic skills requirement. So you will not be asked to provide the basic skills requirement on your application. But if you have any questions on that or you want to go provide and see more information on the basic skills, you can scan the QR code to the right. Now, you also need to provide verification of the subject matter requirement. So this requirement does need to be provided at the time that you start or before you start the credential courses. So you can apply with this pending, but it's important to note that they must be completed before you can start courses. Now, if this were to change, you will be notified of that change. So I'm going to go through your options, and you only need to pick one of the following options and then provide proof of that option when either you apply or before you start courses in the semester. Number one is a bachelor's degree or higher from an accredited university, either in liberal studies, liberal arts, or elementary education. So if you earn a degree in any of these areas, your degree has met the subject matter requirement. So for your application, you can simply provide a transcript that states the name of the degree or the major. Number two is a CTC approved subject matter preparation program. So if you completed one of these programs, you can go to your university. Typically, this is a credential office, and they will provide you with a letter stating that you completed a CTC approved program. Number three is to take the multiple subject CSET. So this is a California subject examination for teachers. And so it's important that you consider taking this test as soon as possible. You can register for this test at any time. Number four is completion of coursework. So you could have courses reviewed or evaluated to determine if you have coursework in the areas that are typically covered under a liberal studies or a liberal arts degree. So if you're not in that major, but you're slightly close to that, taking similar courses, then I would encourage you to submit the domain evaluation. For $75, our faculty advisors will review your transcripts and determine whether or not your coursework has met these requirements. To get that form and submit that request, you can scan the QR code for more information. Number five is an option you have if coursework doesn't completely meet all the areas under the domains. You also have the option to take and pass the CSUT exam. So you could potentially have a combination of coursework and CSUT exams to meet your subject matter requirement. And lastly is the light evaluation. So simply by emailing credrec@csusb.edu with copies of transcripts, our credential processing office will review and confirm whether your degree has met the light evaluation and therefore the subject matter requirement. So these are your 6 options, and you only need to complete one of these options to meet the subject matter requirement, which again, you can submit an application with this pending. but you may need to provide proof of that before the start of the credential courses. So communication with our program admissions office and the College of Education. So you can use your private email as you create your account and as you submit. But as soon as you submit your application, you should receive an email from the Office of Graduate Studies with your ID and with information on how to activate your email account. And it's important to check that email account to see if there's any status on your application or any questions you might have. You could also just email gradadmissions@csusb.edu. So overall, this is our credential admissions process. Submit your application on CalState Apply for the Multiple Subject Credential Program or with the bilingual authorization. You'll also receive eventually when they review and everything's confirmed that's been completed, you'll receive a survey to complete an interview survey. And as soon as that's done and you've been admitted, you'll be invited to attend or to watch a new student orientation on Zoom. At this time, you'll pick your school districts and you'll also receive your program plan. And then you should be able to register for classes as soon as your registration window opens. The application deadlines for the spring of 2026 start on August 4th. Second deadline is at September 8th, and then October 6th is our last deadline date. The application should go live sometime in July for the spring of 2026. So here's a list or chart on our tuition costs. So for more information on tuition, you can also scan the QR code there. You're approximately looking at about 4,800 for tuition in a semester if you're taking 6.1 plus units or more. Now, if you're considering the master's program will go slightly higher on tuition costs, but you'll get more information as you get closer to applying for the master's in education. We encourage you to submit your financial aid applications, so please do that. It's a free application. You may be eligible for the Golden State Teacher Grant that could potentially award you up to $20,000. And then, of course, if you're considering the bilingual authorization, you have the X-Mile grant. And we also have an option and a partnership with the Rialto School District of an option that you may have to receive a $30,000 stipend. So for more information on that, we encourage you to scan the QR code here and also reach out to Alexandra Johnson for more information on that. You do have to be accepted to the credential program and also to the Rialto residency program. But for more information, please reach out to them and they'll be more than happy to assist you. We also have Project Impact, which is a program, an initiative to increase our male minorities in the K-12 campuses. Dr. James Huff is a director of Project Impact. We encourage you to reach out to him. You can scan the QR code for more information. You'll see that you'll have potentially tuition support, some mentoring support as well while you're in the program and even after. So lastly, we hope that you'll connect with our College of Education. You can scan the QR code there for more ways to connect. You could also email for more information on coeinfo@csusb.edu or visit our website or call the main number for more information. And one of our faculty advisors will be more than happy to assist you through this admissions process. So thank you so much for watching. Have a great day.